DeShaun Foster won the offseason for the Bruins. UCLA is set up for success now and in the future.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free where we reach your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. It's your team every day. Welcome back to all those everydayers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So go check it out. Where we get started today, we're talking UCLA's offseason wins, maybe some losses. Also, Madden Iamaleava fighting for the NIL collective of Arkansas. And hey, some spring sports heartbreaks and victories as well. So let's get rocking and rolling. UCLA, did they win the offseason? Well, I was looking at an ESPN article talking about, hey, winners of the offseason based on the conferences. And it's like, okay, what's going on? What's the analytic approach? What did UCLA officially do in this offseason? And it's the hype reel. The Bruins needed a complete overhaul from the Chip Kelly era to a late offseason hire with DeShaun Foster. And you could argue DeShaun Foster was set up to fail. Now, how long of a leash is he going to be given to try to succeed at UCLA? I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking that's much longer than it would be for other coaches. It tends to be at UCLA, as we saw Chip Kelly walk away. The Bruins, though, after, a 5-7 year, I think a little more successful than we would have thought after the years beginning in 2024. DeShaun Foster, there's only 2 assistants he retained. Only 2, and then completely overhauled all the Chip Kelly stuff, brought on his guys, brought in talented players, brought in the transfer quarterback that he promised in the offseason. UCLA went into the offseason saying, all right, what are we going to get? Justin Martin went in the portal. Some key talented offensive pieces went in the portal. How are the Bruins going to revamp a dreadful offense with an offensive coordinator who had the name but not the pedigree of success at his own spot? From the Commanders to UCLA, Eric Bieniemy didn't have what it took, it looked like. In the end, UCLA said, actually, let's pivot from this. Let's get the young gun and Tino Sinceri. Let's bring in, not one transfer quarterback, but 2, and sending 1 away. So UCLA technically brought in 3 transfer quarterbacks, bringing in Joey Aguilar initially, and then getting the top-rated transfer quarterback available in Nico Iamaleava in the spring portal, bringing in his brother Madden for a future. So you've got quarterback 1, 2, and they're still in the works with the local quarterback in 2026, Oscar Rios, who could still commit to UCLA and make this a battle in 2026. Who's interested and says UCLA is his dream school. So the Bruins are winning in the present at the quarterback spot. They're set up for the future and still not pushing away high school recruits saying, hey, this is my dream school. I'm understanding, willing to commit and willing to compete. He has not committed. Nobody is committed just yet in that 2026 class other than 4 receivers in that class that DeShaun Foster and his staff is slowly working on. But they did a lot of work in the portal. Think about what they lost. They lost some talented offensive players, J. Michael Sturdivant, TJ Harden, Logan Loya, all right, Maliki Matavao to the NFL draft. And then you're like, okay, Garbers, he was a longtime veteran quarterback. I think he would have succeeded in this system. But the Bruins needed not only to just replace him, but still, in my mind, upgrade at that spot. As much as you could go back and forth about the Nico thing, and I have my disagreements with how it played out, DeShaun Foster had a plan, and he took advantage of an opportunity and went out and executed. And I don't think UCLA got hosed in this situation. I do not think so. I don't think the Bruins failed in terms of, hey, did they overpay? Is the situation potentially a circus? Certainly. It could absolutely do that. But the Bruins set themselves up for success. And the thing is, part of the ball that was successful last year, the defense, is going to take a big-time coaching job from Akaika Malloy and all the new defensive assistants, all the new incoming transfers that the UCLA Bruins utilized from the DBs, from the safeties. Now, how are they going to replace 2 to 3 quality linebackers that were drafted mostly in the earlier parts of the NFL draft? You see Femi, who was an edge. You see Carson Schlesinger, Kane Medrano later in the draft. It's going to take a coaching job to make UCLA successful on defense. And if Akaika Malloy is successful, then the Bruins have not only a potential assistant of the year on their hands, they have something that says, hey, they can be successful in 2025. Think about this. UCLA's got a new secondary coach, new D-line coach, with the likes of a successful year after Kaika Malloy's magical work in 2024, after so much was made about Danton Lynn going to USC. You bring in a whole new offensive staff. You go to the O-line. You bring a new QB coach, offensive coordinator. Oh, wait, there's a new receivers coach. Just about everybody's completely different. And oh, by the way, you go bring in a top-tier receiver from Cal, Mikey Matthews, who could be your punt returner. You bring in Javian Thomas, the running back, to add to some depth in the running back room as well. Hey, think about the other receiver, Jadon Wilson. Oh, let's not forget, UCLA already had pretty talented receivers, a quality running back room, and maybe Hudson Habermill working his way back from injury. As long as the Bruins can develop some tight ends, can Andy Kwan do a good job as the O-line coach to develop UCLA's lack of success up front? Because the trenches are going to determine UCLA's success. And late spring portal transfer additions for DeShaun Foster on the D-line might bolster a group that wasn't as strong in 2024 and could be an adequate unit in 2025. While UCLA, they're going to have to lean on their offense. Well, what did they add a lot to? What did they improve so much in the coaching, players in the portal, and what they're bringing back on the offensive side of the football? And they set themselves up as much as you can in the transfer portal NIL era for future success while not pushing away the local SoCal recruits, keeping themselves up to date with, hey, we have a plan in case Nico doesn't stay beyond a year, or they have a plan if he does stay beyond a year. They can win now and they can win in the future. Now, the expectations, the definition of winning, that's different for everybody. Is that CFP? Is that winning a game in the CFP? Is that national championship? Well, for UCLA, they're trying to make a bowl. They're trying to go from, okay, Chip Kelly almost got them to 10 wins. They fell a little short, and then they went downhill really quickly. And he left them with just about nothing. The cupboard was bare in recruiting. There wasn't a lot of NIL support. The fan base was growing apathetic. You can see that in the Rose Bowl attendance. As much as I want to be there with everybody else, why aren't people showing up? DeShaun Foster's bringing the energies, bringing the spring game, bringing recruits in a Big Ten era that's somewhat to sell for some programs. A little easier for UCLA football with the money being brought in, with the NIL support, right? Bruins for life. New events in the spring. Going after the best available players. You talk about Mick Cronin asking about continuity and talent. Think about DeShaun Foster. He said, screw this. We're getting rid of all these guys. I'm bringing in my guys. I'm bringing in the talent mixed in with some continuity. And you're like, okay, he brought in the talent. UCLA certainly won the offseason. And going based off this ESPN article, UCLA was, the 9th best team in the Big Ten, according to this ESPN ranking and Bill Connolly for UCLA when it comes to who won the offseason in their own conference. I'm like, wait a minute. UCLA dominated the headlines, but they are set up for success now and in the future. I mean, goodness gracious. Think about what they could have been doing. Their 3 best defensive players are all in the NFL draft. So the season is going to be determined upon what they can do coaching-wise and can they get the best out of their players. And if they do, we can be all the more proud of this UCLA team. Expectations, bowl season or better. Can they surprise? Can they beat Indiana? Now, those are fun discussions that we can have in future time. Next, though, what is the drama in the circus I already alluded to earlier in this podcast about the Iamaleavas? Well, Nico gets the headlines, but Madden is the one that might have to pay financially. We'll talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. The NBA playoffs, they're in full swing. Upsets and everything galore happening. So you might want to check in on these highlight-worthy performances with the major momentum shifts, can't miss moments, game-winning shots, and there's never been a better time than now to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easier to stay in on the game before tip-off and live. Player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You're sitting there like, wait a minute. Are the Celtics really about to drop to the Knicks? Or you're like, wait a minute. Is Jalen Brunson really going to put up another fourth-quarter performance? Well, that's why you can go with player props, whether it's three-pointers made, assists, steals. Maybe you want to do something involving the fourth quarter. Think about all that and combine your live prop bets into a same-game parlay based on how the action's unfolding, whether it's a big blown lead by those Boston Celtics, or you think about the Knicks, hey, are they going to come back? Think about that with FanDuel. And, hey, a $200 bonus in bonus bets If your first $5 bet hits, that's amazing. So check it out. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Cruising on to the second segment, let's talk about the potential drama that the Iamaleavas are bringing. Not the family, not the Nico circus. This is Madden's situation, all right? The younger brother, the once promised UCLA commit who might have started this year if he stayed at UCLA, funny enough. Then he decided to flip on signing day out of nowhere to Arkansas, not even visiting the Arkansas Razorbacks. Goes early, signs an NIL deal, according to this on-the report from Pete Nakos, worth about $500,000 with Arkansas Edge. Interesting, okay? Now, the fascinating thing is these kids get paid almost up front in some instances, or maybe not if they don't fulfill their contract, but getting paid that much early on in your high school career and you're not even guaranteed a start, that's mind-boggling. There's a whole nother discussion that we need to have and figure out. If you're giving that much money to kids sitting on the bench and you've got that many football players, basketball players, baseball players, every sport has had dominating athletes, and you're paying like Madden that much, that's a whole different discussion. And maybe there's a reason why he flipped from UCLA. Obviously, the switch in offensive coordinators was right around the winter portal and the early signing day, in addition to, hey, that's a hefty chunk of change to get for your true freshman quarterback who might not be starting year one. So here's the Pete Nakos report I saw initially, this article written by Andy Staples on 3 from way back when about, hey, think about it. Arkansas Edge is really going after Madden Iamaleava. They're seeking about $200,000 from Madden, half of the original deal that was worth $500,000. All right. And the interesting thing is the attorney who's representing the Arkansas side was once an attorney who represented the Iamaleavas when Nico and everything was trying to go with more opportunity at Tennessee. So that's kind of interesting when it was the Iamaleava and the Spire Sports with Tennessee defended the Nico against the NCAA side of things. So once on the Iamaleava side, now going against them. Here's what Tom Mars, the guy who is the attorney, wrote on the social media site that is X. The situation with Nico and Madden Iamaleava may be the last straw for schools and donors in the Wild West era of college sports. To use a fitting analogy, you have to go back to the Jesse and Frank James to find two brothers who ran off with a huge sum of undeserved money. Now, that's a crazy, crazy statement from an attorney on social media, but it's going to turn into this new, interesting world in college sports. I talked about how DeShaun Foster has set UCLA up for the future. Are the Bruins, on the football side of things, putting their future hope in what might be the second coming of the Ball family, right? That was 3 brothers, all coming from the local public high school that dominated the high school sports scene with LaMelo, LiAngelo, and of course Lonzo, who led the charge, the only Bruin to actually have any meaningful impact at UCLA. LiAngelo, of course, going to UCLA, then getting himself into trouble and never doing anything in a UCLA uniform, and LaMelo going the pro route. Is that what could happen to UCLA? We get a bunch of hype with Nico. Maybe he outperforms the expectation. He just over-delivers, and then that means either he goes for a paycheck in the transfer portal again, or he goes to the NFL draft, which would be a more likely scenario at this stage of his career if he performs to expectations or surpasses expectations in 2025. Madden, though, you're sitting here and you're like, would he leave? He's battling this deal with the Arkansas Edge NIL collective. And it's like, hey, can UCLA try to keep this kid for 2 years? Is that going to stop him from leaving after a year? This is all an ongoing situation that could determine, hey, how are deals going to be, put together, signed, delivered with these new high school athletes? Are they going to have to go for 2 years? Or the transfers going to have to commit to at least graduating from the school, which they technically do at some aspects, before they can leave? Or what happens if UCLA pulls, we're bringing in Joey Aguilar, actually we're bringing another quarterback, leave? All right. There's both sides of this. There's the guys who are leaving money, but they don't pay it back. And then there's the schools who are saying, actually, we found somebody better. Let's push Joey Aguilar to the side. And there he is going to Tennessee, who happened to be a welcome home. We need a quarterback. And Joey's like, well, let's, we're both people who are left at the altar. Let's go meet together and make this a happy quarterback football program together. So what Arkansas Age is trying to do and set the precedent of in a public way is that we need the athletes to not just go out, make money, leave, transfer, and pay nothing back while fulfilling minimal requirements. Because name, image, likeness is not a salary. You are supposed to do something with your name, image, and likeness. Fans want the autographs. They want the jerseys with the players' names on the back, right? You'll see the UCLA basketball jerseys with the Hawkeyes on the back. You'll see a football player's jersey with the name on the back, right? Think of like if Johnny Manziel had his name on the back of a jersey at Texas A&M officially, if he could sign autographs, or players that got in trouble for signing autographs and were fined or suspended for various things. Those are the types of things. Hey, happy birthday, take a picture, whatever it is that these athletes are pushing their name and image and likeness forward to make money. And most of these athletes, and in Madden's case, in a very short time at Arkansas, and now he's official at UCLA, he's going to potentially have to give up 6 figures back. And I wouldn't be, upset if that actually happens. This is part of the drama UCLA took on when they welcomed both Nico and Madden back into the fold in the Southern California football scene. And it's not a bad thing for college football if this happens. If 6 figures is required by Madden to pay, the other thing is, how much is he going to ask UCLA to give? That's something I wonder what's moving forward. Or maybe DeShaun's like, hey, we're not going to help you in this situation. We'll give you what you're worth. We're not going to overpay you if you're not worth that much money and just because you got to pay Arkansas back. Or is it like another school where, you're paying a coach's buyout? Does UCLA have to pay that buyout? That's not this same situation, but those are all different litigations, different contract disputes that might have to be figured out before we start making this into a real Wild West like it's been the last few years when NIL became a thing and the transfer portal's gone real crazy. That's where we're at right now. Now, there's no reports that UCLA has to do any of those things, or that's the case with Madden, but it has to be in the back of DeShaun's mind. How much is this kid going to ask? Will this happen similar to what Nico did at Tennessee? Is this what could happen to any kid of any name, of any future high school commit or any future transfer coming to UCLA? Or the Bruins, if they're kind of pushing Joey out, do they got to pay what they were expected to give him because they said, hey, actually, you can compete for the job, but not really? What's the school's expectation? What's their liability in that situation? It's a fascinating thing, and Madden might have to go pay up to 6 figures. Will UCLA be on the hook for that, for having him come to Westwood? We'll figure out how that plays out. What's already played out have been a couple of spring championships and an ongoing tournament. I'll tell you and update you about 3 of those next on Locked On UCLA. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between the dining out, online shopping, entertainment, okay, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO that gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it's not just another budgeting app. You see those everywhere. It's a complete financial command center. Track your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. You're not just managing money. Okay, here's this, here's that. You start building wealth, all right? And you're thinking, okay, what can I do? I got too many apps on my phone. Well, Monarch Money puts it all into one place so you can check your finances, track your spending, and plan long-term goals. You know how many times my parents have come up to me and said, hey, let's start and get you into some true financial gains where you're trying to build wealth, not just sit here and do nothing with your life. And it's like, well, how can I do that? Monarch Money makes it smoother than ever to track any shared or personal accounts. I can set my goals and I can be on the same page. Maybe not necessarily with my parents, but you put that together and I've been able to budget smarter and save more, not just spend so much on food delivery, or at least in my case, know how much I'm doing so. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Cruising on, another rapid fire segment talking about UCLA spring sports. All right, more of a heartbreak edition, if you will, in two cases and a strong case in another. Here we go. So in recent times, we've had UCLA men's volleyball make it to the national championship game, a rematch against Long Beach State, this time in Columbus, Ohio, where UCLA was going for a three-peat with their new coach. You had UCLA battling it out in men's tennis. And let us not forget the rest as well. The women's water polo team in the semis falling just a bit short of making it to the final a year after they were the undefeated national champions. So you got a couple of cases where defending champs get deep in the tournament, fell a little bit short to some local rivals. So let's start with the women's water polo team. They were maybe the favorite team to make it to the final. The Bruins were the 2 seed. They got matched up with a team across town. We won't say their names. We know who they are. And the Bruins fell a little bit short in a high-scoring thriller in the NCAA tournament semifinal, 15-13. A semifinal to final hosted in Bloomington, Indiana. Even though like 90% of the teams in it were from the West Coast, that's where they decided to host it. But the Bruins fell a little bit short a year after going unbeaten and winning the national championship. So a hard-fought season, a successful season where they made it to the finals of the MPSF tournament. They made it to the NCAA tournament semifinals, the final four, quote unquote, if you will. But a little bit of heartbreak there as they're trying to win a national championship in the spring. Well, let's continue the heartbreak. Unfortunately, here you are talking about UCLA men's volleyball looking for a three-peat. You go over the last decade plus, if you will, of the sport of men's volleyball. Almost every team has gone back-to-back. Because COVID canceled one, Hawaii was able to win back-to-back. You've seen UCLA be able to win back-to-back. They are the program with the most ever national championships in the sport of men's volleyball. And now with John Speraw heading more to take over the USA volleyball, UCLA brought in a new coach. So one is successful. That was a lot of turnover and a dominant sweep of Hawaii, the 3 seed, who I honestly thought would beat UCLA. Now, I thought the neutral site would be an interesting thing. UCLA did go and they smacked Hawaii. Unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw. That was Long Beach State with the National Player of the Year, National Freshman of the Year, and Mohini Nikolov. And I think it was just a buzzsaw that they couldn't handle. 3 defeats this season to Long Beach, and UCLA won 1 set. So there was 9-1 in 3 separate defeats to Long Beach. But they still made it to the final, keeping the program. I wouldn't say treading water, make it to the national championship match is not a bad thing on a new time, new platform, everything. But after a hard-fought battle in the Walter Pyramid in front of a sellout crowd in Southern California where they came out on top, won back-to-back, sent out a lot of those seniors happy and ready to roll, UCLA as a 2 seed, that's nothing to feel bad about. Now, the question is, will we have another back-to-back champion next year, or will UCLA be back right here? It's one thing to pick up the momentum after a national championship winning team and still get there. And then you mix in the growing sport, now 8 to 9 teams making it to the tournament versus 4 to 5 like it was less than a decade ago. That's how much this sport is expanding in men's volleyball. UCLA could still dominate next year, and there's still more research. This is more of a rapid-fire segment of spring sports championships. But if you think about a longtime head coach, a super successful head coach in the recent years with Speraw. Of course, they had so much dominance prior to that. Speraw kept it going. Can they keep it going now with the new regime? And finally, we'll talk UCLA men's tennis. I'll be quite honest with you. I don't know so much about men's tennis and the team sport of the NCAA, but they hosted USC in their own regional of sorts at UCLA, and bam, 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 spanked them, got the job done, and beat USC and became the first unseeded team in men's tennis since 2010 to make it to the round of 8. So the UCLA men's tennis team, to end this show on a good note, beat SC, bam, bam, bam. They got the job done, and they are in the round of 8. They're going to Baylor. They are heading to Waco, Texas to continue their dream run. So shout out to the UCLA men's tennis team for getting the job done, picking up the slack, going on a dream run, getting to the final 8. Maybe they can keep it going. We will see how that plays out. But if there's any more basketball commits, any more crazy updates to Madden's NIL drama, or if you're looking for more football updates, we'll get deeper into that and just more fun stuff here in the spring, heading into the summer. We'll talk about it here on Locked On UCLA. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Heads up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.